So you can kind of see the base, the spacer. I just recently started using these spacers, so if you don't have one, it's not a big deal. You don't need one. And then the wing nut. Okay. So take it apart, and you take the threaded rod that's been welded to this piece, and you stick it underneath. Okay. And you drop the spacer on like so, or if you don't have a spacer, no big deal. And then you take the centerpiece, place it on like that, and then you go like so, put the wing nut on. Now you put it on kind of loosely at first so you can still move it around, see, like this. So what you do is, before you tighten it down, you know, this is an incomplete piece, auto stir top, but you just kind of move it around, turn the switch on so that the auto stir is spinning, and then when it looks like it's centered properly and it's spinning free and not hitting anything, and the height is adjusted properly on the steering attachment, then you go ahead and cinch, you know, tighten both sides down so it doesn't move. Okay, so that's how that works. Okay, so these holes here have to be centered right over this hole. Okay, so you can kind of see how this edge is centered in that hole, and it's also centered in that hole. Okay, see, so that way you know that hole is centered this hole. Okay, so that's kind of how you do that. Then you drill the hole at least 1/4 of an inch. This is 1/4 20 thread, and I think these are about a couple inches long, 2 1/4 inches long, something like that. So anyway, I had a customer that had an obstruction in the way where it's mounted, and he couldn't get it underneath. Well, there's several ways to solve that problem. You can see here where I've drawn a line. You can cut this groove out, or kind of grind or sand this groove out, so that way, you know, you can get it up in there like this if you have an obstruction right here. You can also take a round file, come at this angle. So in other words, instead of, you know, so you have your obstruction here and it can't go lower. Well, if you cut this groove and you cut the slot, or you just kind of file it out, or however you want to do it, or grind it out at an angle this way so it goes in towards the bowl, then you should be able to just slip it in and slip it out, even with the obstruction. But if you don't want to mess with all that, there's a simpler way. You take this 1/4 20 nut here, and you just kind of go through like this. Of course, you have an obstruction here, so you're probably going to do it like this, but just it's easier for me to do it like this. So you can kind of see how I'd screw it down to where a little bit's over. If you can kind of see, you know, there's a little bit of rod sticking through the nut, and there you go. Now, to keep this from falling out, you know, you can take up, I'll do my other hand. What I would do is take this and screw it in up top. This is before you try to mount it on the auto stir. Just leave it like that. So now it's not going to fall through. And then you can either use one of these, or one of these, or even one of these. And I'll take it out here because you can't really see. But when you get this threaded rod on there, and you see it's just a little bit over like that. Then what you do is you take this while it's on here and you kind of just clamp down on it as hard as you can and move it and just kind of strip it a little bit. And this is again while it's on here. I'm just doing it this way so you can see it. Then get a wrench and try to loosen it, you know, with your wrench and tighten it down, and then it'll basically get stuck there to where you can't get it off on the stripped part of the thread. So you want to do that so it's not going to come off, because the last thing you want to do is have that nut come off when it's on here, and then your auto stir falls off on one side. So if you don't want to mess with, and you know, grinding and all that stuff, or there's another way you can drill a hole here along with cutting a slot a little bit, and then just kind of put it down in there like so, and then it'll go in. So there's different ways you can do it, but this way is the easiest way. So just for demonstration purposes, you just take this 1/4 rod, about 2.25 inches long, whatever. You can get one on your own, or you can contact me if you want. So you just take that thread like that, steer it down, you know, do the thing where you strip it, loosen it until it gets tight, that way you know it's not going to come off. And once it's down here and it's on there good, see, like this, and it can't come out because it's got the obstruction, so it's going to stay in there. Then all you got to do is take your finger like this and hold it. Same process. Then you put your spacer. Whoops. Then you put your spacer. Or if you don't have a spacer, don't worry about it. It's kind of a new thing I added. And then you put your wing nut, and same thing. Center, you know, turn the auto stir on, move it around until it looks like it's centered properly, and then tighten it down. You don't need to do nothing under here. That nut will grab down here, so then you just tighten it down, and that's it.